So, Achaa is ready for us. And before we begin, drum roll, this is her second masterclass with Empowering Female Minds in STEM. Now, Empowering Female Minds in STEM has been holding masterclasses every month, beginning from February. We missed 1 or 2 months, but I would say that we've been consistent in bringing you content that speaks to career development. And today, Jennifer, who is a chartered accountant and a management consultant in finance and strategy advisory, is going to be teaching us on how to align our financial goals for career success. Now, Jennifer has over 10 years of experience in financial services, energy and mining, consumer and industrial products, as well as the government and the public sector. Now, she holds 2 master's degrees, one in entrepreneurial management from the University of Ghana Business School, and one in strategic management and leadership from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Now, her work roles have spanned auditing, financial management, investment advisory, research, fund management. So this is a JP Morgan material. What do you say? JP Morgan material. Her credentials are loaded. She's also a person of high integrity and possesses a very organized and strategic personality. She's analytical. She's a transformational leader. That's how come she's the founder and fund manager of Friends Investment and Networking Club. So you can also check her out on LinkedIn, connect with her. During and after this masterclass, we are building our network. You never know who you need and who you meet one day in that conference and in that seminar. So her passion and interest has always been with financial literacy and issues related to diversity, social inclusion, and corporate social responsibility. So Jennifer is highly recommended and highly capable of getting us from zero to hero when it comes to our finances. Now, we find out that most corporate people are either in debt or they are living hand to mouth. And most of the time, we tend to not realize that in keeping to the status quo, we are hurting our future, we are hurting our retirement, as well as the future of people who are looking to us, whether they are our children, whether they are relatives, whether they are siblings. So we have a responsibility first to ourselves and to those behind us to make sure that we take control of our finances and get it right. Now, for myself, who has been a corporate woman and a stay-at-home mom, I would say that financial independence is close to my heart. So I want us to hand the floor over to Jennifer as she dives deep into financial literacy and then how it translates into career success. Jennifer, your audience.
Thank you, Margaret. I hope you can hear me. Thank you for letting us start on time. I see some of my people on the call. Thank you to everybody for joining. So I saw that there were lots of questions already before the presentation starts. So I'm going to try and do a very short presentation, and then I will go ahead and address the questions so that I can do a very pointed class. So it says, please increase your volume. I'm echoing. Okay. Please give me a second. Is it better? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, sure. So, I mean, there's been a lot said about me. I'm not going to say anything more about myself. But basically, today we're going to take a look at our careers and then how our careers are supposed to be aligning with our finances. A little bit of background for me is that one of the reasons why I became very passionate about this whole career and financial thing is that a lot of us, when we are growing up, we're not given a lot of guidance. So you realize that we all finished school together, but in sort of like moving forward, some people get left behind. Just like Margaret mentioned, some people are living hand to mouth, while some people are living large and living well and all of that. So for me, I feel like if we're all given some sort of education, doesn't mean that we all arrive at the same place, but it just means that at least you have some footpad, you have some information to be able to use to plan your life. And being the kind of person I am, with my strategic personality and ending up working in strategy advisory, I have come to realize that yes, life, you can't have all the answers and you can't control everything, but there's actually a lot that you have control over. And if you get the right guidance, you would be able to then make the steps that you're supposed to make. So I'll jump right in. Now, education is the basis for a lot of things, especially formal education. Now, when we look at our careers and when we look at our finances, basically life is presented to us as having a certain path. So just like we all know, when you're born, if you are fortunate enough, I should say, your parents or whoever your guardian is will take you to school and then basically go through the education system. Now, plus or minus, you go through the education system for 20 years. You start with the foundational education, which is the crèche and the kindergarten. You do basic education from class 1 to, let's say, JHS 3, which is what they are running right now. Then you go to the high school, you're between age 15 and 18. Then you start with the tertiary education. Now, any additional education you would want to have is basically decided by you. But one of the things that we don't tend to think about is, why do I need 20 years of preparation for my career? Why do I need 20 years of preparation to be able to have some sort of financial stability? A lot of us go to school and we don't even know the reason why we're going to school. We think that, oh, well, I'm young and my parents have taken me to school. But one of the things I keep on telling people, especially when I do younger audiences, let's say I do, speaking for, I speak to students in high school and junior high school. And one of the things I keep on saying is that your education is an investment that's being made into you. It's not just your parents are taking you to school, so you're going to school. Now you're doing 20 years. One of the things that you should remember is that your education basically is for so many things. So education is for building knowledge, definitely going to learn about things that you're supposed to know, things that maybe under normal circumstances you wouldn't have the knowledge if you don't go through the formal education. Definitely building your networks. A lot of us, the people we know now, even at our old age, most of these people come from our education, people who went to school with. Now, education also gives you perspective, because you realize that there are things that if you're at home or if you didn't go through formal education, you have some knowledge of it. But when you go through education, especially being in interaction with so many people from different cultures and different places and different homes, you tend to get a certain perspective that you may not necessarily have had. I'll skip career and come back. Education also gives you some sort of thought leadership. So we realize that even the quotes and all of those things that we learn while we are in school, you realize that somebody's quote, or even when somebody writes a book, the person comes up with a thought that people run with. So you sort of like have this whole thought leadership thing going on with education. Now, the last two things that education brings us. Now, this is not an exhaustive list. This is just a few things that we get from our formal education. But two of the most important things that education brings, and again, I would say that even in terms of informal education, education generally gives us a launch pad to getting employed or getting employment, and then education also launches you into your career. So when we're looking at getting employed in a career, there is a little bit of a difference. So normally we look at, okay, your career is what you're doing with your life, what you're trying to. We have professionals where we have people who, let's say, are engineers, or people who are, let's say, even chartered accountants. accountants, let's say doctors, all those people are within the professional environment. And then we have people who are also working sort of like in the general environment, like we have support staff. So let's say you are an admin person, you are a secretary, all those things are not necessarily professional because you tend to fit into various roles. Now, your educational level is one of the reasons why you are going to get unemployment. It depends on what educational level you've reached. Even as low as the high school level, you may get employment. But one of the things that education does is that the higher you go on the education ladder, the more likely you are to get, unemployment that gives you a certain level of financial status. Or the higher you go, the more you're likely to get a professional career.
Jennifer,
Yes, can you hear me?
yeah, you went off for a bit. Could you please come
So I
closer to
went
the machine? Yes, please, so that we can hear
on,
you
when
clearly.
can you hear me now?
Yes, please, by the volume.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure what's up with the volume because is it the speaker volume or my microphone volume?
I would wish you come closer to your machine.
Okay. Is it better?
Far better. Thank you.
It's better. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Okay. So again, before we go into the deep conversations, like Margaret said, I hope this is an interactive session and not me giving a lecture. But I'm sure most of us have heard about Maslow. And what this guy basically is saying is that as human beings, and especially as we grow up, there are levels of satisfaction or there are levels of life that everybody wishes they have. There are certain heights that everybody wishes they would reach. Now, to a large extent, Maslow theorizes that not everybody gets to every level of this theory that he has submitted. So the theory says that most people, their basic needs is at the lower level, which is the physiological. So in terms of having the basic needs of life, you are expecting that your body will function normally, you'll be able to breathe, you'll be able to sleep, you'll be able to have food and water. And of course, again, this Maslow's theory of needs, it encompasses every individual, every human being and every individual, but it is more of relevance when people are growing into adults because normally when you look at children don't normally have any needs apart from you know the desire to exist, getting food to eat, getting somewhere to sleep, getting somebody to take care of them. But as you grow, you begin to look for more needs. So you move into the level of safety. For example, you are seeking safety, you're seeking the security of your body, definitely employment, which is something that we are going to delve into. You're looking at your resources, you're looking at morality, you're looking at your family, you're looking at good health, you're looking at getting property and all of that. And definitely as you're growing up, you're also looking for love and belonging, which is the friendship, the family, the sexual intimacy. Then you're looking at self-esteem. So remember that again, these are levels. So Maslow theorizes that you should move from one level to the other. But as you grow up, you realize that a lot of these things are intertwined and it's a loop. And it's not just having one need, it is a combination of all of these needs that will make you feel, happy in life, feel self-actualize, what he calls self-actualization. And I will delve into why your career and your finances are one of the main reasons why you can reach all of these levels. I think when we were younger, I'm not that old, but I'm not young. But when we were younger, a lot of people used to say, "Oh, money is not everything," and all of that. But as we've grown, we've realized that money is actually a big part of being able to live a certain type of life. Now, even now, in terms of basic needs, money and your career have become one of the biggest part of you even being able to reach your physiological needs. Because there are people who have so much anxiety that they can't breathe properly, and which is a physiological need. And they have this anxiety from having problems with their careers and having problems with their finances. So now let's look at this whole career thing that we are talking about. Your career forms a very significant part of your life. So if you are going to live, most of the research I did says that 64 to 70, depending on which country you live in, depending on what resources are available to you, depending on your genetic mutation and all of that. You're going to live, let's say, plus or minus 70. That's the average. I mean, people live up to 90 and 100 and all of that. But depending on, all of these things, you have around 70 years. Now, your career is forming about half of that. And remember that according to researchers, they said we spend a lot of time sleeping and all of that. So if you calculate, you realize that your career forms a very lengthy part of your life. Sorry, a lengthy part of your life and a very significant part of your life. Now, your career also affects everything, like I have said before. One of the major things that the career you have affects is your finances. And I mentioned that, sorry, excuse me. Your finances basically affect every single thing in your life because your finances would be one of the reasons why you have self-fulfillment and development. Your finances affect your networking circle. And I always use the example of how people see things like East Legon Fitness Club or Executive Men's Club or something, and they are all, enthused and everybody's excited and wants to form their own association. Now, when we look at networking, we say we've heard the thing that says monkeys play by sizes. In terms of your fulfillment and development, your finances and your career affects the people that you network with. Your life experiences. Let's say if you traveled outside the country before, assuming it's not your company that is taking you outside and all of that. What kind of life experiences have you had? Even in terms of something as simple as owning a car or owning a vehicle or getting property and all of that, going on vacations and all of that, your finances and your career affects it majorly. Definitely your socialization. Like, again, today is a holiday. Somebody has booked their flights to go and for some party in France and all of that. Somebody is also thinking of what they will eat this evening because they can't afford it. So even in terms of socialization, in terms of your relationships as well, there are people who enter relationships because they are hungry, basically. And there are people who are in good relationship because, of course, they are self-confident and they are financially stable. So they are able to sort of like share some sort of intimacy with people that, are able to give them that sort of fulfillment that they're looking for. Your finances and your career definitely affect your procreation as well. And maybe I'll talk a little bit about this before we move on. A lot of people are beginning to understand that children are very expensive. So you don't just get up and say that, oh, I've finished school, I've gotten a job, I'm being paid 1,000 CDs, so I'm going to marry and I have a kid. You're going to be one of the most stressed people in life. So people are beginning to understand that in terms of career planning and in terms of, financial planning, it affects your procreation. So you should be able to understand that this child I'm about to have is not just I've gone to have sex and I'm pregnant and I'm having a child. Do you have a plan for this child as well? Even in terms of the kind of life experiences you want to give to the child. If you didn't go to the good school, you went to maybe a school that you feel was not good enough, and you want to take your child to a good school, you should understand how you're going to plan your career and how you're going to plan your finances to be able to go ahead and have these children. So our options later on, as a mix of investment portfolio, but whatever career you are in affects your pensions as well because and I'm not just talking about SNET and all of that. What type of life do you want to have when you're 60? Because we see people who are 60 and they are traveling the world and they are living their lives. And we see people who are 60 and they don't even have accommodation because they were living in a government bungalow and they had no plan to build a house or to buy a land or to do anything with your life. So the last two things are that your career significantly affects whether you're going to have a soft life or a hard life. And your career also significantly affects whether you're going to live in enjoyment or you're going to live in frustration. So with all of these in mind, we're going to go into the career planning and moving forward in your career. So I'll stay a lot on this slide. Again, I'm trying to do a very short presentation so that we can answer more of the questions. So now, in terms of career planning, a lot of us start planning our career after tertiary. And I mean, I'm not talking about when you're young and you ask the question, what do you want to be in future? And then, I mean, people give answers. I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer and all of that. But a lot of people, it it is after you finish your university degree and you are graduating. That's when people begin to say, yes, I want to be a lawyer and I want to be a doctor and all of that. Now I finished the school, I'm looking for a job. And you realize that because a lot of people are planning, and I've listed 5 different boxes here. So most of us are planning in the fourth box. But we are going to start from why you should be planning from the first box. And again, I know that some people attending this call are already working and all of that, but I had some SHS students, I don't know if they joined. But the point is, even in terms of the children we are having now, or if you have a nephew, or if you have a brother or a sister, somebody who is younger, and you are going to, guide this person, or anybody that you feel needs some type of guidance, one of the best places to start planning your career is before you enter high school. So remember when I presented that the educational level has about 5 steps. So we start the foundational, basic, and all of that. As soon as somebody finishes basic school, or even when they're in basic school, the first thing is to have conversations with them around understanding the available careers with relevant courses that should be studied. So, even using myself as an example, when I finished or when we were in junior high school, the way that we even chose senior high school was that our teachers would determine, okay, this person is good, so you should choose school A. This person should choose school B. Now, the focus was more on what schools we should choose than on what courses. Again, one of the things that they were doing was that if any student is a good student, they will help you choose a school and they will automatically say you have to pick science, right? General science, which is what most of us know in Ghana. Now, in terms of having these conversations about understanding the available careers with relevant people in your circle, is to understand, is to let them understand whatever course you're going to choose or whatever course you eventually settle on that you want to do in high school, what are the available careers, right? For me, for example, one of the only things I knew was that I wasn't really somebody that enjoyed the whole science thing. Secondly, one of the only things I knew that if you finish school and you go and do science, you're going to be was to become a doctor. I personally did not want to become a doctor because right from a very young age, I was like, I don't like the hospital, I don't like blood, I don't like the smell of hospitals and all of that. So I wasn't really exposed to the whole, oh, you can do engineering. In fact, now you can be a tech person and all of these things. There's so many things that are in there that people don't know. Fortunately for us, we are living in an age where now information is available. Maybe even at the time, the information was not available, but now information is available. So you should guide people to be able to understand. If you're going to study general arts, can you switch to something else? If you're going to study science, can you switch to something else? I've heard of somebody that studied business in Ghana, did business administration and all of that, and basically moved to the US and started doing some courses and went to medical school and became a doctor. But that is not possible in Ghana because what happens is that if you study business, because of the available careers in business and because of even the available courses, you can't switch from business. You can't move from doing business in SHS to applying for medical school. It won't work. So again, even understanding the available careers and the relevant courses of study, you should be able to also understand the jurisdiction, right? The second thing is to be able to understand, talent or identify talent. Footballers are one of the richest people in the world now. And if we all know, I'm sure all of us knew people in our senior high schools or in our junior high schools who were very good footballers or who were very good sports people. If some people are guided to identify their talent, they are then able to say that, okay, because I've identified my talents now, and again, this is before senior high school, we are in the first box. If I have identified my talent, what kind of research can I do to be able to say that, okay, I want to take my talent seriously and I want to explore the talent I have. If it is singing the person is doing, how can we explore these talents? And you look at people who have made so much money from singing, the Celine Dion's, the Beyonce, the Nigerians even, and even some Ghanaian musicians. Someone like Jackie, because her father was a musician, I'm sure they identified the talent very early and they started training it and all of that. So how can you identify the talents of young people, and even you yourself. And I know that there are people who are over 30 and they don't know what their talent is. They feel like I can't do anything else with my life. I'm stuck in a job. What talent do you have? How are you identifying your talent? Now, learning soft skills as well. Oh, so we are learning soft skills like in terms of organizational skills, in terms of being able to deal with people. I personally never knew that talking was a soft skill. Um, I found out about public speaking as I was growing up. But I remember, and I know that some of my mates from GHS are on the phone. One of the things that was a problem, and was a problem even on my term report, was that HR likes talking in class. And it becomes something like you never know that something that you possess that you don't know that, oh, this can be something I can use to make money, right? I'm a very strategic person. I like to plan. I have a timetable where I plan my entire 24-hour day every single day. So I have my sleep period in between, I have my reading time, I have my preparation for work time and all of that. I'm a very strategic person. I didn't know that that was a soft skill until I started working in a big organization, and I was actually chosen to lead some welfare activities and all of that because my boss then identified that, okay, I can do all these things, right? Now we need to also shape talent of people before high school. We need to shape mindset. Sorry. When we are in high school, a lot of us think that of course we are young, so the mindset is towards, oh, this person is too new. I don't want to be friends with this person. I don't want to talk to this person and all of that. And I always say that when I mean I went to Wesley Girls High School, so we see some personality. I always say even Adina was our mate. So of course I met her recently at a bar. I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. We went to a bar and met her, and we were talking like we're just vibing. But I remember that I wouldn't say Adina is my friend per se, but if we see each other, we recognize each other, we talk and all of that. Now, when we are younger, a lot of us sort of like build certain networks that as you're growing up, you realize that, okay, what if I had built a network with this person or with that person? And I see some of my university mates. So we're in the same class with someone like Kennedy, which is the son of Despite. Of course, if we meet, we'll say hi, we'll just, hang out. But there are people who build networks with people like that, who build networks with other people in the class. And I think for me, one of my best networks has been from Wesley Girls, because I'm still very good friends with Yemo and Matilda. We formed a group called Jamie and all of that. And I feel like those people had a very good influence on me, even in becoming a chartered accountant and all of that. Now, when people are younger, you should definitely also talk to them about getting a role model. A role model is basically somebody that you are looking at and saying, I want to be like this person. For a long time, as I was growing up, my role model was Indra Nui. Indra Nui used to be the CEO of PepsiCo. So she's one of the richest, famous women. I mean, in terms of corporate work, she's the ish. And she used to be my role model. I mean, she's still my role model to some extent, but now I have a bit of different role model. So before high school, assuming that you had this information, or you give this information to somebody before they go into SHS, you give them that consciousness. And for me, consciousness is one of the things that a lot of people lack, because we are not given some sort of direction or some sort of roadmap. So, you go to high school, you do 3 years, you just want to get 8 A's and you just want to get 7 A's and go. But there is so much to life than just, academics. And you want to shape people in this way before high school. Now, when they go to high school and after high school, what are some of the things that you're looking at? You're definitely looking at again, we are looking at the talent. So after you've identified the talent before they go to high school, you're looking at the talent development during the high school and after the high school. And I think that high school is one of the best places where people develop their talent. So again, even in terms of people who are entertainers, the musicians, the people who are very good event organizers. When we went to senior high school, there are people who are organizing events every weekend, the entertainment and all of those things. You get to see that your talent is developed. There are people who were playing basketball, who were playing tennis. There are people who are very good at debate and all of these things. So you're also guiding these young people to develop their talent. Now, learning a skill is one of the most important things that a lot of us missed after high school. So, for us, after high school, we had a 1 year gap period. Some people use this 1 year gap period well, but I think a lot of people wasted it. So we realized that even in terms of education, because we are more geared towards getting blue collar jobs. And again, I'll talk about the Ghana education system and how it is really causing a lot of unemployment in the country, because what we do is that we basically stick with the formal education and we don't learn any type of skill. Now, people are learning skills like being an electrician, baking, now even TikTok is there. People are using TikTok to get money and all of that. But a lot of us don't have any other skills, apart from the fact that we've gone to school. Like me, you've gone to school, you have 2 master's degrees, you are a chartered accountant. What other skills do you have? Because I personally, I am a fund manager, apart from, being my normal job. And it was one skill that I had to learn on my own, because I had to learn how to manage money. I had to learn how to understand how to give out loans, how to assess loans. And I've not significantly worked in a banking experience, but I'm managing a huge fund of money now because I have my own thing going on in terms of fund management. So the skill that you want to learn, it doesn't necessarily have to be like something you do with your hand or all of that. It just has to be something that is a little bit different from you going to school and getting a job. Because if you finish school, I just saw on Instagram today one lady who has finished law school, and she's basically a chef, because apart from the fact that she identified that she can cook and all of that, she went to do some further courses and then started cooking and doing all these big things in Nigeria. And even looking at people like Men's Cook and all those people, I mean, some of these boys, they don't have any university education and all of that. They just had to learn a skill and identify what they are good at and be able to do. So you are guiding people after high school to learn a skill. And I would advise that even now that they don't have a gap year, if you have someone young in your family who has finished SHS, and do you think that, well, after SHS they should just go and learn a skill or something? Let them stay at home for 6 months to a year. After the university, it doesn't matter whether you finish with your mates or not. Some will finish with their mates and they will not get a job for 3 years. Some will also not finish with their mates, and as soon as they finish, they will get a job. There is really no single path. Okay. You also want to guide people after high school gaining experiences without earning. Because remember that after high school, you may get a job, but what significant job can you get? And this is one of the things that I tell people, younger people who come to my classes or younger people I talk to. You can't drop out of school after SHS and say that I'm going to look for a job because there is no money at all. There is really nothing, not a high paying job that you get after high school. So you need to let them gain experiences in terms of making sure that, oh, I'm going to work with my aunt. She sells cake or something. I'm just going to help her on how to put out a table, organize the table, get customers. You get skills like selling and marketing and all those things. You may not earn money, but eventually it will pay off. Of course, you get a mentor. You help these people to get a mentor, and unlike the role model, the mentor has a some sort of direct, impact on the person's life. So the person is talking to the person, trying to guide the person towards what they want. Financial literacy is something that we are working on something, trying to get GES to get it into the educational system, because again, a lot of people after tertiary, where they get to the fourth box, that's when they are trying to understand how money works. And they are trying to understand, okay, now I've started earning salary, what do I do? People are living hand to mouth, and it's not because they are not earning a lot, because they don't understand how money works. So we are trying to do some curriculum to try and put this thing into the schools to let people understand that it's not yet your parents are paying for you to be in high school, your job box is filled, your transport is paid for. But you need to understand how to earn money and how to allocate money, how to apportion money. One of the last things we are looking. So again, a lot of us, we went to senior high school. We could sing, we could dance, we could talk, we could do stuff. But we went to senior high school, and because we are so fixated on passing WASI, we don't express any form of it. We don't explore any interest. So me, for example, I was in the debate club. I even left the debate club because I'm like, I have to focus on my books and all that. But you encourage people to explore their interest, because even the science they are studying and the doctor they are becoming, they may end up not using it. They may end up becoming a footballer. If you look at I think the Croatian or Costa Rica or some other national team, they have medical doctors on the national team, medical doctors who are footballers, right? So they've gone to medical school, but they are not using that anymore because they have other interests that they are more interested in that can make them more money. And we'll talk about, someone asked a question about passive income. We'll talk about it under this topic. A lot of passive income is earned from people's other interests. It's not earned from your main interest. So people are doing, yes, they are working Monday to Friday. But I know somebody that on Saturday, the person will take a whole contract and go and grow pork for people and for people's parties and things, and they will make a lot of money from that. So when we are looking at passive income and we look at someone asked about passive, so we look at it. Exploring your various interests is what will let you earn passive income. I'm a chartered accountant. I have an employment contract that has a non-compete clause. So I can't go and do a chartered accountant or management consultant for another company. So I have to do something else that will earn me money in terms of my other interests apart from my main job. Okay. So let's move to the third box. Now, before or during tertiary, you want to develop your ideas and on the interest that you've explored and try how they translate to money. This is one of the biggest challenges and the causes of unemployment. People don't understand how their interest will translate into money. So somebody knows that, okay, I can sing, or okay, I can organize an event from start to end. And now wedding planning, in fact, I said I'm going to start a wedding planning business, and I started asking wedding coordinators are charging 5,000. I'm like 5,000. What are you coordinating that you are charging? But they can actually explain to you what they are doing and why they are charging you that money. So you need to understand that your strategic personality and your organizational skills that you've acquired in box one, how can you translate it to money? There are people who can do the crochet thing. People can make shoes. People can use leather to do things. My friends are making juice. People are making coconut water. People are making cake. Yes, you can bake cake, but how does that translate to money? So these are things that you should be guiding these young people. And again, even if you are at your age and you don't know how you're going to use your interest to create money, that is where you should then be coming for a one-on-one class for me to help you to translate, your ideas and the things you're interested in to money, because somebody doesn't know where to start. The person knows I can do something, but where do I start from? Again, before and during tertiary, you want to broaden your network. You want to make sure that this class that you are in is not just about you. And I know, unfortunately, gay girls are very guilty of that. We enter a class and we sit by each other, and we don't talk to anybody else. And all we are thinking about is sitting by our friends. But you realize that again, life is not just about you. And other people are in the class who are way smarter than you, who are way connected than you. So it's not an ahoshishe kind of thing, or saying that, oh, I want to talk to everybody, I want to be friends with everybody. But you want to make sure that you are building a certain level of network where you are able to relate to everybody. You also want to do internship and voluntary work. Um, is one of the things I personally didn't do a lot of. I did some internship, but I didn't do a lot of it. Of course, it doesn't mean that you should do a lot of it or you should be working every vacation, but it just means that you should also be trying to get into the corporate world to try and understand what the corporate world is about. Internship and voluntary work is to help you to understand the world of work. And remember, the world of work is in box four. But normally, a lot of people enter national service and all they are thinking about is, I want to be maintained, and they don't have any skill and they don't understand corporate environment, they don't understand corporate politics, they don't understand office ethics, they don't understand anything. So before and during tertiary, in terms of your career planning, you want to look at all these internship and voluntary work. And I think that all the workers on the call is something that we should be trying to create an opportunity for. If you have young people in your circle, you should be looking for internship and voluntary work in your office for them. It doesn't mean when they come you have to pay them or you have to pay maybe their transport, but they don't have to come and even do any excessive work. It's just to observe and see how the whole place works. Before and during tertiary, you want to utilize every minute you have. Again, a lot of us waste a lot of time in uni. We basically go for lectures, come back home and sleep. But you realize that even in university, we have so much time because you normally have maybe one or two or three lectures a day and you are done. And people just go to the hostel and sleep and do nothing. They don't use the time to learn any skills. Again, we are in an information age nowadays. You can actually learn a whole university course in your room, because if you go on YouTube and you type business analyst or business data scientist, in fact, you can get the whole course that you can do on there, right? You want to also gain as many skills as possible. Before and during tertiary, people spend all their time praying. I don't know. Well, I mean, I'm not against praying or church activities or anything, but a lot of people spend so much time going for prayer meeting, going for evangelism, and their entire life is just, spending time trying to look like the people who are going to be accepted into heaven. They are only people who are going to heaven. But remember that after school, there is so much more going on than just, church activity. So you want to be able to gain as many skills as possible. Driving is one of those skills, because driving is one of the most important skills that, even in terms of pharmacists, when you finish school, you want to be a rep. They mostly want to give preference to who can drive. Because if you are a medical rep, you have to go to the doctors and go and sell the medicine and all of that. So as many skills as possible, driving, if it is something in relation to tech that these people should gain and all of that. And again, ask yourself, what other skills do you have right now apart from the job that you are doing, or apart from the business you are doing and all of that? What other skills that, if worse comes to worse, you can use these skills to make money? Before enjoying tertiary, people should learn how to take a risk. And when we are having the money conversation, we'll talk about the fact that there are so many types of investment risk. So there is low risk investment, medium risk, and high risk. People are so afraid to take a risk. In fact, it's one of my major challenges now when I coach people on money. When I have a one-on-one class, somebody will tell you that I don't want to invest in anything, that I'll lose money. But when you are younger, you should learn how to lose money. You should learn how to take risks. You should learn how to, and I'm not talking about betting here in case somebody is going to bring that example later. But you should learn how to be able, again, understanding money, understanding projects, understanding business, and saying that I'm going all into this business. If I have an idea, I'm going all in with this idea, and I'm going to work hard and try and make this idea work, right? So you want to learn how to take risks. Last thing before enduring session, you also want to learn, understand self-employment. Okay. So I think there's also a question on self-employment and entrepreneurship. We actually studied a course called entrepreneurship, I think level 400. But a lot of people basically study this entrepreneurship course as a theory, and then they just go through. But the statistics are saying that even in America and in those European countries, a lot of people have set up their own businesses. Of course, it's a little bit easier with their system to set up businesses. But again, even with our very difficult system in Ghana, Ashesi is one of the universities that has created an ecosystem and an incubator to allow most of their students to finish school and set up their own business without working for anybody else. So young people need to understand, within my, before tertiary and after tertiary and during tertiary, how do I understand self-employment? Is there something I can do that I can use to create money, and I can start right now and I can start doing it before I even start working, before the after tertiary period comes in? Now, again, where most of us start from is after tertiary. So after tertiary, we finish, we graduate school, and then the first thing is that it's like you've been dropped in an ocean. And I remember that, even right from when I finished tertiary up till now, a lot of people finish national service and it's like they've been dropped into the sea and they don't know what's next to do. Because most people finish school, they don't even know how to write a proper CV. They don't know how to approach people to help them find jobs. It's just about, I finished school, I'm looking for a job. I finished school, I'm looking for a job is not a good way to find a job. People don't know how to even go into an interview. People don't know how to dress to an interview and all that. It's like we've been dropped in an ocean and everybody's just trying their luck. But I think that again, this is one of the things that we are also trying to get to the national service scheme, because the conversation is around, when people are starting national service, there should be a whole seminar that is done for them to understand, first of all, apart from the financial literacy part, if you finish national service, what is the next step? Or even during national service, are you being taught how to apply for? And again, somebody will say, these are not things somebody should teach you. But the point is, yes, not everybody knows some of these things. Yes, somebody may know, oh, when I finish, I'm supposed to write a CV. But people struggle with jobs, and it's not because they are not necessarily good or something, but it's because some people just don't know the path to take. And as a national service, if you are not maintained in your current organization, then there is so much going on and you don't know what to do. So want to look at, again, even before tertiary and during tertiary, how are people being prepared for the world of work in terms of applying for jobs, in terms of staying in jobs? And especially with the current generation, a lot of them, they don't like stress. They don't work as hard as the older generation. They feel like, if I come to work and you are stressing me, that's it. And now mental health is a big deal. So some of them come to work and they are like, look, I can't deal with this, and then I'm done. And then they just go. So how are they being prepared for all of that? Because the world is changing, whether we like it or not. My current bosses who are partners and all of that, they used to come to work and they'll sleep overnight and they'll balance the financials and all that. Our current generation, I will not go to work and stay there till midnight. I won't do it. And it's not because I'm lazy or anything, but because I'm protecting my mental health. I'm trying to live a life that makes sense. I don't want to be 40 and I've spent my entire life at work and I don't have a family because I was trying to become a partner by 40. So all those things are things. At a tertiary, is it all about survival? I remember we looked at the Maslow's theory of need. A lot of people finish university and then it's all about making a salary enough to eat. But is life just about survival? Is life just about making enough salary to, or is life just about making enough salary to be able to build a house and survive in the house and all that? There is so much more to life than that. So you want to plan your career and say that if after tertiary my entire life is just about me surviving and buying food, then what questions am I asking myself? After tertiary, that's when somebody sang the song "Adulthood Must Come," and I remember when that song came, I made a post on Facebook and said, "Me, I don't think adulthood is a scam because I am actually really, really enjoying my adulthood." But I know that a lot of people disagree with adults. And the fact that finances affect everything, I've repeated this so many times. So, oh, my internet is for this. Please, can you still hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, please, we
Hello?
can, but it keeps
Okay.
dropping on and off. If you could come closer to the
Is it better?
machine. Not really.
Okay. So, it's not better.
It's fine now.
Can you
It's fine now.
can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Hello?
Jennifer, we are hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, sure. So again, financial stability. If you finish school and you are working, you've been working for a while, and your finances are affecting everything. So, and remember, we said that your career and your finances affect everything. Your relationship, the children you have, your project, everything. So you realize that at tertiary, this is when these questions are now being raised. And if you had started talking to some of these young people, before high school, after high school, and all of that, some of these questions would then, be stabilized out. Then adulthood will not be so much of a scam because yes, we will not all earn the same income or the same salary, but at least there is a way to make sure that everybody is on a certain platform where they are living a life good enough. Not everybody will live the same life, but we'll all be living a certain type of life. So the last thing I'll look at is dealing with change. I think there's a question around this. But in terms of career planning, one of the things that you need to look at very significantly is dealing with change. Now, moving forward in your career, when I do a one-on-one class on career coaching, I have this framework where I say that at least every 3 years, you should either move up in rank or you should change jobs. Now, you can be at the same company for 20 years, it's not bad, but you can't stay in the same role for that 20 years. In fact, when I talk about consciousness, you should be conscious enough to make sure
Jennifer, we lost you. Jennifer, if you are there, you are no longer audible. We lost you
not
at if you can be in the same company for 20 years, but you shouldn't stay in the same role for
okay,
more than three
okay,
years.
okay. So you again, I think you can be in the same. I mean, you can decide to be in the same company. Remember that I said that we have 35 years to work. So first of all, everybody should calculate how old you are now, and then you should know the number of years you have left. Okay. So you have 35 years. Now, don't spend that whole 35 years in one row. Don't say that, oh, if I leave this role, I'll not get another job and all of that. I personally tell people that every 3 years you should make sure that your role changes or you rise in your role. So let's say again, I wanted to use myself an example. I started from national service. So national service, I was doing finance officer, finance manager, those kind of things. And then I moved into audit, external audit. So external audit, I moved. Then I later moved into industry. So I was doing business plan and analysis, country finance operations and reporting and all of that. Then I moved again and I moved into business strategy. Then I moved into consulting for a while. Then I took a whole year off work. I took a career break for my mental health. But, and we'll talk about that again, even being able to afford a career break, because some people, if they don't work for 3 months, they are in trouble. So, in terms of moving forward in your career, you should have a conscious plan of how you want your career to move. Now, remember that all of this presentation I'm doing, I'm not saying that there is a template of life that, you would say that I'll move from step one to step two. No. But for me, a lot of things are about having an action plan. It doesn't mean that everything will go according to the action plan. It just means that you are conscious enough to know that, okay, at this point, what's next, right? Because when you don't do that, like I've said, that's when people end up staying in the same company for 20 years and their pensions are 400 cedis a month. You should even, we're looking at, when we look at pension, your pension should be increasing, in a certain way, such that if you should retire, you are retiring at a certain level of pension. Some people don't even know how much they've contributed to SNIT. They don't know how to use the pension calculator in the first place. And again, consciousness. If you want to move forward in your career, you should be able to tell yourself that, okay, in the next 3 or 4 years or 5 years, I want my salary to be here. When we started working at national service, I was not earning that. I earned the normal national service salary for about 3 months. Then I changed companies. So I was then earning about twice the national service thing. Then it started moving. But the point is, if you want to earn a certain amount of money, you should be able to have that template or that consciousness to say that I've been working for 10 years, what is the average salary of somebody who has been working for 10 years? So if you've been working for 10 years and you're earning, let's say, 3,000, and somebody who just started national service, as for example, PwC, is earning that same 3,000. You've been working for 10 years, you're earning 3,000. Somebody that started national service at some company is also earning 3,000. Have you moved forward in your career? Right? So you want to be able to check all of that. In terms of average industry earnings, how much is a good or is an average income for you to be earning if you've been working for a certain number of years? You also want to look at turnaround. Somebody asked the question that, what if my career that I'm in, it's like a dead end? And I recently did a class for somebody, and I'm like, you have just a few years left to work, and you're still renting a house. You haven't bought land, you haven't done anything, and you have just a few years to work. If you retire, what happens? You can't be renting until you die, right? Now, at every point in time, one thing that people should be conscious of is that one day you can decide that I need to start a new career. Now, again, you should also be conscious of the jurisdiction you are in. Somebody I just saw online, she was 40 years old, she just got divorced, she's a single mother. I think when she was 40, she then told her family that she wants to go to medical school. This is US. So she wants to go to medical school. They were like, 40 years, single mother and all that. Going to medical school is tough. But she managed to go to medical school and she has completed. Remember that whether you decide to do something for the next 10 years or not, unless you die, if you don't die, the 10 years will come. So you need to understand that if you need to make a turnaround, you need to make a turnaround. If you feel like you went to study secretariatship or something like that, now being a secretary, how much would you receive? But you've been a secretary for a long time, you are not receiving a lot, but you can actually go and enroll in maybe some finance course, some tech course, something to get you earning more. Why don't you do that and start earning more? Somebody did a 6-month tech course and started earning so much money than even the normal job they are doing, because now tech is a big deal and all over the place. So you need to be able to understand that if you are in a place where you feel you're not getting enough out of your time, then you need to be able to make a turnaround. You need to talk to the right people to help you to make the turnaround or to learn what kind of courses you want to take. In terms of additional skills acquisitions, like we saw, I've gotten 2 master's degrees. I could have said, well, I have a first degree. I'm also a chartered accountant. I don't need to acquire any additional certification. But you need to understand at what point do I acquire additional skills. So I have made this a point that every 3 years at least, I need to get a new skill. I need to go to some additional school and get some additional course. You need to plan for this in terms of your career and in terms of your finances as well. If you need to start over, then you need to start over. But again, remember that the world is not a global village. So if you need to start over, it's not doesn't mean that you have to go back to SS and go and write was. You just need to find out what is the best way to start over right now. Do I need to leave the country? What are the courses that I need to do to make sure that okay, now I can start over and all of that, right? So these are some of the templates. I do a very detailed delving, but because of time, I'll just skip at this point. I mean, I've done enough here. I'll just go to the next point. So, in terms of balancing the finances off with your career, when you look at your finances, you need to question yourself all the time. And again, this has also to do with consciousness. So, you need to be able to assess your current state at every point in time when it comes to your finances. So, you would say that, okay, currently I work in this company, or I have this job, or I have this business that I'm doing, I'm self employed. Am I earning enough income to be able to take care of all my basic needs? First, you consider your basic needs. So, for instance, if you're able to earn enough to take care of your basic needs, you're able to have food, shelter, clothing, and family, and all of that. Now, what next do I want? Especially in terms of the Maslow's theory of needs. If there is something more that you want, then you need to say that, okay, within my current state, I can't afford it. So how can I be able to afford it? Should I change my career? Should I begin to apply to new jobs? Should I change the company I'm working with? Should I speak to my boss for a raise and all of that? But at every point in time, you need to find a way to assess yourself. And when we are doing the practical session, I'll let you see how I do that. So that you can use that to assess yourself. You also need to have financial goals, and you need to prioritize financial goals. So every year I make different financial goals, and I say that your financial goals should not be the exact same thing year on year. So in 2024, you can say that, well, in 2024, I want to take an international trip to maybe Dubai or Maldives or Santorini or Bali or something. Assuming you have all the basics and you can afford this type of luxury, you can then say that how much you do the the costing and all of that. How much will it cost me to be able to go to these countries? How much do I need to save? How much do I need to budget and all of that? But you should always have financial goals. And one of the financial goals I had was that before I have children, I should have a separate fund for my children. And fortunately for me, thank God, I've been able to do that. And even before I am going to start having children. But for me, that was a major financial goal because I said, when I have kids, my children should be receiving money from the bank every month. That is not coming from my salary. So I set up a different fund for them where I save a certain amount of money. I invest the money, and every month the investment pays my children. And my children are, I mean, I have a stepdaughter, so she's here, but I don't have my children now. But my stepdaughter, I met her and I already have a fund for her. You understand? So the point is to make sure that whatever financial goals you're setting, you are also having the roadmap to achieve it. But you should always have financial goals every year. I mean, you can do it every month if you want, or every quarter, but make sure that you have financial goals. And if you are in a relationship or if you are married, you should have your individual financial goals, and then you can have your financial goals together. So you should have, if you are married or children, you should have your own financial goals. You can have financial goals for your children. Your partner should also have their own financial goals, and then you can have a family financial goal. Now, the third thing is to develop a budget. I will not speak too much about this, but we'll do this one in the practical session. But everybody needs to have a budget. It's one of the things that most people lack. So they receive the money in the bank, or their incomes or their salary or whatever it is, and they basically just start spending on whatever bills coming. But you should always have a budget. And one of the fights my mom used to have with me is that she says I give her everything I want, but when she requests for things in the middle of the month, I'll say it's not in my budget because I have a budget. So I always tell them, if people need something, tell me so that I add it to the budget. If the money comes and I finish allocating it, I will not do it. That's the point. And when we do the budget, you would see that I even encourage people to have a charity budget. You can't just be giving money to people who come and ask you every month just because they came to tell you a sad story and you are feeling sorry for them and you are feeling sad for them, so you decided to just give them money. No, you should always have a budget for everything. Now, in building an investment portfolio, your budget would help you to build an investment portfolio because your budget also shows you how much extra money you have every month. Your budget shows you what other types of incomes you have, where you can allocate some to other things and other investments. And then people only invest in T-bills all their lives. But T-bills is not the only type of investment. In fact, T-bills is even a low risk investment. You can invest in so many other things that you get so much money from. But because people don't have a budget, they can't even tell how much money they have to invest. So if you are building an investment portfolio, you should be able to have a proper budget and be able to use the budget to build your investment portfolio. The last thing I'll talk about is in terms of next step, and we'll do the practical session. But when you do all these financial assessments, you are doing all these financial assessments in collaboration with your career. So whether you are self-employed, whether you are employed by a company, whether you are doing your own business, whether you've inherited money from your parents and all of that, you need to make sure that you are conscious enough to have all of these plans together. And then, of course, if you have to talk to a financial advisor or if you have to talk to somebody who is more knowledgeable than you, then you can go ahead and talk to somebody as the next step to put it all together. But remember, your career has the biggest impact on your finances. So if you get the career wrong, you are going to struggle for a very long time because, again, your career is the thing where it's bringing all your income, unless you have a big inheritance. You know, if you have a big inheritance and I'm talking to you about finances, it's all about investing. But if you don't have a big inheritance or you are not from a rich family and all of that, then you make sure that your career and your finances are joined together and they are aligned. And you are starting from the proper place and planning your career well. Otherwise, you end up crashing at some point. So I'll end the first presentation here, and then we can do the question and answer and come back.
Great, great. I hope we have been taking down notes. I've been putting the few things I've been able to learn in the chat box. But know that this masterclass is recorded, so you can go back to it, refer to it, and then work with the information that you glean from here. So we had a few questions coming in during the registration process. And one question was that as a recently turned 24-year-old who is now on his own, what's the best thing to do in order to gain financial independence?
Okay, so 24-year-old. And I think it's one of the things that I have chastised myself about a lot of times. I wish when I was 24, somebody had told me some of the things I know now. But it's all good.
Yeah.
All good. Now, 24, most likely the person has just started working or the person is doing national service. One of the first things I'll tell you about is to have a career plan, just like we presented.
Okay.
The second thing is to go ahead and talk to a financial planner. So it could be me or anybody else that you think you can talk to. You need a plan that helps you invest properly for the next 10 years. Okay. Now, let me try and share my screen and do the compound interest calculator. Okay, so how do I stop share? Just give me a second. But there is a way that when you start working, right? In the next 10 years, you could actually make a significant amount of money. So let's assume that this person has a good job. So maybe you are earning 2,000 or 3,000. I don't know. Let me just give an example. If the person can actually afford to put a certain amount of money down, what you would then do is that in the next 10 years, by the time you are, let's say, 34, you would have a certain pool of money that can be paying you a certain amount of money every month. Okay. Now, again, this is one of them. Please give me a second. I'm trying to share my screen again. So, okay. So you can see my screen. I'm showing compound interest calculator. If you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
So, okay, you see there's an initial, let's say you started working, you just started working. So you decide that, okay, I'll put 5,000 now. Now, currently, T-bill rates are around 24%, but let me even do, let's say 20%, right? You are going to start some investment portfolio for the next 10 years. What you are doing is that every month, so assuming every month you can afford to, let's say, put 500 now, you then go ahead and say that, okay, so in the next 10 years, you have 194,000, sorry, 195,000. Now, those of us who have been working like 10 years, like me right now, if you had been doing this national service time, remember that this 500 cedis you are putting down, some people have actually earned more within the last 10 years that they could have afforded to put 5,000 cedis down. Okay, if you can do this 500 cedis for the next 10 years, and again, if the person has just started national service, right now that you've been working for 10 years, national TIPO rate is 24%. So it means that you can be earning 3,900 now. You've been working for 10 years, you're earning 3,900 now, and this is money you've put down over the past year, assuming you're investing it well. If somebody, if you are not, that means that if you're not working at all, you'll be receiving 3,900 every month from your T-bill. Okay. You can even say that, okay, that's what I'll be using to pay for my children's school. It means that you will not even be paying that money from your current salary or your current income. So as a 24-year-old, what I will tell you is that, and this is just an example that I'm giving, when you see a proper financial planner, I would then give you a plan on what type of investment you should even invest in the first place, or even in terms of the amount that you're doing. So you see, this one gives you a percent. Let's say you are doing 500 every month in the first year after you start work. You can be increasing it by maybe 20% every year. So it means that you then be paying a higher amount every year. But as a 24-year-old, like I'm saying, it is best if you have a slow plan and you take slow steps. Most people will start working from 24, and by the time they are 34, they realize that, so where is all the money I've been earning? So where is all the networks I've built? Where are all my friends? Where's my family, or where is even my boyfriend or my husband or my child? Assuming you are interested in those things. So 24, what I would say is invest in yourself, invest in relationship, invest in networking, invest in a financial planner or somebody who is knowledgeable about financial literacy, who can help you to plan your finances properly. Invest in yourself. Every 3 years or every 4 years, try and do some certificated course. Invest in relationship. 24, if you've never been in a relationship, start looking for somebody, because sometimes we think that being in a relationship is not so important at a young age. I mean, I don't advise serious relationships for people below 18 years. But from 18 years, try and look for some type of relationship, networking, learn how to associate with the opposite sex, learn all the tricks that the men bring, learn all the tricks that the women bring. Try and build a life that you are happy with, so that in the next 10 years, you won't look back and say, so what happened in all these 10 years? So that's what I was saying.
All right. So the next question, it says that what are some good short-term and long-term investment types available in Ghana to build wealth?
Okay. So this question, I'm not going to answer it fully because this is a very general class.
All right.
What I've noticed is that, I mean, some people go and start somewhere and say, a chance in this class, go and invest in this company. And it went down. So in terms of specific type of investment, I will not give any companies, but what I would say is, again, sit with somebody who understands the market. But what you need to do in terms of investing is assess yourself and assess your risk appetite. Okay. Risk appetite is also something that a financial planner can assess for you by asking you a series of questions. So I have a list of questions that I'll ask you to determine what is your risk appetite, whether you are low risk, high risk, medium risk, what are some of the things you like to invest in, right? Let me give a very simple example. I like to invest in the food business, because I always say that if I invest with someone who is selling beans, which is gobe, I will receive money every day from my investment. If I invest in, let's say, someone who is doing something very complicated, oh, I'm selling crypto and whatever, it's a speculative something. But if someone is selling gobe, every day I'll get my money, right? So set simple things like that. You need to assess yourself, assess your risk appetite. If you don't know how to do that, talk to a professional to help you to do that. And then you go ahead and then find the investment. But I don't want to mention any companies here, because somebody will go and say somewhere that I said this company and it didn't work out well. But I don't like to do. I like to do that on the one-on-one call or a paid class.
All right. So how do I move on from a career that does not meet my financial goals?
So with this one, you have to do critical self-introspection. So when you are in a career, like I've said, your career is an accumulation of your academic experiences, your work experiences, your networks, your socialization, your environment. You need to critically assess yourself.
All
So
right.
let's say let me just go on a tangent. You're a medical doctor, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you're a medical doctor. You feel like, and when we're younger, we thought medical doctors were very rich. I mean, they are rich, but I mean, most of them still complain. But you are a medical doctor. You are expecting to earn 20,000 or 30,000 a month, right? But you realize that being a medical doctor in Ghana, you earn less than $1,000 a month. Or even the consultants don't earn up to a certain amount. So now you are saying that, okay, I'm a medical doctor, but this whole medical doctor thing is not paying me as much as I want. What do I do? You then need to assess yourself and say that if I want to earn more, does it mean I need to look for other things that I am interested in to earn me more income? Or I can move to a different jurisdiction as a medical doctor and earn enough. Okay. So when you do the critical self-introspection, you assess things like, even the career I'm in, is it the right type of career, or do I have another area that I want to go to school for? I want to go online and learn and get a certification for, right? Or do I want to move to a different jurisdiction? I'm a chartered accountant in Ghana. I'm a management consultant. My company is a global company. We are in 152 countries. So I can say that if I move to another country, even at my level, the same role, will I earn more? And looking at the standard of the cost of living in that country, will I be better off? So you need to do those analysis on yourself. Again, if you're not able to do it yourself, speak to a professional to help you. But you definitely need to assess so that you then assess and say, should I start all over again? Should I change jobs? Should I change the country I am in or the company I am in and all of that? But you need to assess before you make any changes at all.
All right. So it looks like whatever it is either you upskill, ask for a promotion, or you change jobs.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.